Yeah, 26 years old he was, but a real Western, like John Wayne and all that, you know.
Yeah.
And that was with Tully. Now, when the horses were taken away in April of 42, I went in November of 42.
Yeah.
So there were no horses except for one. Colonel Tully's horse was there, and if I remember the name right, I think it was Topper.
See, but that's what I mean is they were raised with horses.
Yeah.
In
but
fact,
he loved
his
horses.
mom held the family together by renting horses and by giving horseback riding lessons.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
one of the things she did in Connecticut.
Is it in Connecticut?
In Connecticut at that
Now,
point.
is that where he was born?
No, he was born in Greenfield, Mass. And eventually they came down to Connecticut and settled.
Isn't this something?
Yeah.
This is interesting.
And so the thing is, horses were always a big deal, and the cavalry was
Yeah.
always a big. It was a little bit like, you know, Eisenhower. He was a big cavalry guy,
Oh, yes.
and then moved into tanks.
And Patton. See, they're all
But they were messing around with tanks
yeah.
as the next thing because they
Right.
saw that in
Yeah.
World War I, and they
Yeah.
said, "Oh, this
and
is."
Omar Bradley, our first of the First Army.
Yep.
Yeah.
But cavalry was still in their blood.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back farther than that. The MacDonald clan that came from Antigonish, Nova Scotia, and then came down this way. They followed Alexander Graham Bell to put up the telegraph lines.
Yeah.
And Bell was from Nova Scotia, and he knew that he could get these really hard-working guys
Yeah.
from Nova Scotia. And so all three brothers came down. This is General John's father and two brothers came down to put up the telegraph lines. All right, and that's how
they got down
That's
here.
how John's father, John, met Abby in Connecticut, riding through. Here comes the handsome guy on horseback. And he's surveying the land to put up the telegraph lines, and she falls in love. And she's from.
That's all right.
Careful.
That's all right. Just
she's from this.
here. Let me put it over here.
She's from this high class.
That's the boy I have left now. My little boy.
Okay. She's from this high class Boston blue blood family.
Yeah.
That was with the first Pilgrims right after, and falls in love, and then they have the 11 kids. So that's how this whole thing starts. But the MacDonalds in Scotland were the most warrior-like people of even any of the other MacDonalds. They had to hold on to their lands because their lands were officially given to the Macintoshes. And so in spite of the fact that the lands were theoretically the Macintoshes, they had to war against everybody not to take their lands. So these guys were the warriors' warriors, all right? And they all went and fought Napoleon in Port Bras.
Yeah.
And that's how they got the land to go to Nova Scotia. Because they were, then they came down here.
With the wire.
So it was all
That's
through
interesting
this.
for you. He was power and light.
Oh, we've already talked about it.
Yeah.
His who was the guy on the painting?
Oh, that's
I can't think
John's father's brother. So the guy in this painting in the blizzard of '88, putting up the telegraph lines that Mountain Bell used for years and years for PR. That was the second brother of John, my grandfather.
What was his name?
His name was Angus.
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 Angus. That's
That was Angus.
He was telling me about it, and I looked it up, and sure enough,
There's Angus. Looking at the line.
they used it.
They used it for years, and even when I was a kid, it was still being used on the phone books as the spirit of service.
Yeah.
And the Pioneers was a charity that AT&T Mountain Bell did to give out charitable things, and they used his portrait every year. The spirit of service for the new president would get this big painting.
That's something. That's very interesting. Yeah.
And the deal was,
I didn't realize that they were from around here.
Yeah.
I always thought they were either out west or down in Texas or something.
And the deal was,
I wonder how he ever got. Well,
the reason he got in that photo was they came across a train that was stranded in the blizzard, and they brought people food. And people had food. They had been in the train for 2 days, and they made a big deal out of it with Bell Telephone. They said, we can use this for publicity. Okay, so anyway, these...
I wish you knew your...
That's the picture.
Oh, yes.
And then a little story about it.
Yeah, the whole story.
So that's John's uncle.
Uncle?
That's General John's uncle. Yeah.
Now, John is your cousin. Young John.
Young John is my cousin once removed.
Second cousin.
Second cousin. That's
okay.
it. That's
second
it.
cousin.
Yes.
Second cousin.
So the thing is, these guys have had military in their blood because it was their survival for hundreds of years. That's the only way they survived.
Yeah.
The only way they survived. They were the ones who went marching down to England with Bonnie Prince Charlie to throw the king out. But they misplanned the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
They marched back, and all the Highlanders got wiped out in 1745, the Battle of Culloden.
Yeah.
They all got wiped out, and from then on, the English government sent all the Highlanders away, or else brought them into the army because they were such fighters.
Yeah.
So that's why they wound up in Canada. That's why they came to Connecticut, and that's how they wind up as fighters in the war. It's in their blood. It's just in their blood. So
he never mentioned how he got out from Patton's outfit. Of course, the Army just put him over in command of our outfit. But he never mentioned how he got into Patton's, the Third Army, or anything like that.
Yeah.
But that was nice for him to have a command of his own.
Right. Sure.
And that Patton, of course, and him came in August of where we went in June. He came in August.
Yeah.
And I never knew that background.
Yeah.
That is something.
Hey, you want to take a break and get something to eat?
Sure.
What?
Want to take a break and get something to eat?
Yeah, if you want to, you're going to come back and.
Yeah.
So
What
do you got here, sir? Oh, I know exactly what you.
I want to.
And then you go up to Cherbourg.
Yeah.
And then back down through, that's how it is.
Okay, so
Long line.
Cherbourg.
Yep.
So where's Piers?
Yep. And then, like this here, this is Mortain, Cherbourg. That's where I got the Bronze Star when we were captured, or almost captured.
You tell them the whole story?
I did, I think, before when we were talking. And it's all 7th Corps. Not just 4th Cavalry, everything of 7th Corps.
Okay.
You gotta remember now, 4th Cavalry is only a small outfit, and we did the reconnaissance just like in the old Indian days. And you were the first ones there, and you found who they were and where they were. You held them till the infantry or armored came up, then you go on to the next one. So we had to keep jumping ahead.
Right.
And a lot of people don't understand that. And then also, I gotta sit down, all right?
Yep.
Pull the chair up.
All right.
In our outfit, if you goofed off, you didn't get sent back to get court-martialed or demoted or something. You got demoted right there in the field, but you were point bantam. Jeeps in the cavalry are called bantams. And you were point bantam. Point bantam, you got point bantam, second bantam, either my armored car or a tank.
Okay.
3 outfits. You go into a town, and the point bantam is the one that's going to look around the corner first.
Right. And how many in that group? Was
Well,
it a one guy or many?
You mean in the Jeep?
In the point bantam.
Point bantam would be the driver, and sometimes a radio operator and a gunner.
Yeah.
Either
Which
2
is
or 3.
one dangerous place to be.
That would be the worst place that you could be.
Right.
And we didn't say, Randy, you want to drive point bantam? You goofed up, you were in point bantam.
Yeah, right.
You were a sergeant or a corporal, you were down to a private, and you drove that one.
Right.
We didn't send you back and play,
Right.
know,
This was your.
play easy over in England or something, or go back to the States.
Right.
You stayed right there, but you now are number 1 point.
This was
So-
a way to get your attention before you
So
did screw
MacDonald
up.
and Tully actually started, then
Right.
MacDonald kept it up.
Mm-hmm.
That you were not going to be, well, like we had a true brother Indian in South Dakota, and went all the way with us, desert and everything, but he didn't go overseas with us. Shot himself in the foot. So he didn't have to go overseas.
Right.
Now, whether, I was telling you about the infiltration course, I don't think I finished it. We had another sergeant, master sergeant now, that didn't go overseas because he could not crawl from this trench underneath the infiltration with the barbed wire.
right.
You couldn't duck down, and then the
couldn't
very
get
fifth
on-
one's a
couldn't
tracer
get through it.
coming over your head, and then you drop down onto the other one.
Right.
So you had to do that, and also the gas thing
Right.
I told you before you
Right.
could go overseas.
Right.
So whether he didn't want to go
Yeah,
overseas
right.
or on purpose, nobody ever knew.
Well,
But he didn't
no.
go overseas with us because he never passed the infiltration course.
Right.
Big shot, top line. Master sergeant right next to first sergeant. So first sergeant's got diamond in the middle. That's all. They changed the things around a little bit now, but about the same. So those was one of those things that you remember.
Yeah.
I got to tell you one more story that comes to my mind because he slept next to me all the time. Nice guy. If he wanted to be, he could be. He was also what we call a Pony Express. He was supposed to go back to headquarters as far as he could or anything, get our mail and packages if there are any. And also if we had any prisoners, he was supposed to take them back.
Right.
So one night, and it was a long day, and one night I called in my sack, and the next thing I know, he's right next to me. I said,
How'd you make it back?
I said, how'd you get it back so quick? Because there had two guys that he had to take back,
Right.
Germans. Now they sit on top of the Jeep, like I told you, hold on the
You know
reel,
what's coming.
and he knocked them all going. He said, they escaped on me. They didn't escape, I know what happened.
Right.
Because he didn't want to drive all the way back and all back at night all by himself, you know.
Right.
So those things happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think maybe it's good, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
A lot of things that
It is what it is, you know?
you don't try to remember everything. You try to. I'll tell you what I do. I edited everything. You edit the bad stuff, and you remember the good stuff.
Yeah,
The things-
yeah.
And I always told my wife and my kids the same thing. Edit it out. Remember the good stuff.
The one
can't-
thing, well, I mean, I was telling Mark, I mean, I got this theory that, you know, it is common that people who came back from World War II did not talk to their kids about it. It was kept in, and it was this break in communications.
Right.
And the kids didn't know what to make of it in many cases. They were confused, but that didn't help anything because the vets went through all that stuff.
This
and
is
it
what's
was
happening to my kids.
impossible to even broach the subject.
Right. Yeah.
And so you're stuck with the lack of communication
Yeah.
between them.
Yeah. I didn't want to say nothing. I didn't want anything until she did with that 80, and then that more or less brought me out a little bit.
Yeah.
And June and Ken Hunter, they were a combination husband and wife that go around doing. He's done a couple of them himself. Oral what do
History.
you call it, interviews.
Yeah.
So I finally did it after it bugged me.
Yeah, that's
And I did
good.
it, and that's on down
That's
Washington
good.
up in Saratoga.
Yep.
And then when I met Rhonda, and she kept, but these guys have pulled me out of this. It ain't a dark hole, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you're
And
saying.
now I'm starting to, I don't know, I feel more at ease, and I can talk about things, and like I say, you let it. And like, never exaggerate, Randy.
Yeah.
If you exaggerate, it's going to catch up with you.
Sure.
Tell you the truth, and it'll be the same thing every time.
Yeah.
You exaggerate, next week it's going to be different, and next week, well, what did I say that last time, you know? And you can't remember.
Yeah.
So never exaggerate, and don't ever live in the past, because there's nothing you can do about the past.
Right.
And you don't know what's going on in the future, so live today.
Yep.
And I tell everybody, if you're going to do something, don't say, oh, I'll do it next year. You do it now.
Sure.
You know?
I mean, my dad never talked to me about the war. I didn't even think about talking about
My
it.
kids, I only had
You know?
one boy, but I got all my grandchildren and
Right.
great-grandchildren.
Right.
They said, Grandpa, we never hear that.
Right.
I didn't know how to do it. And these guys, especially him, he's brought more out, and Donnie,
Right.
they brought more out of me than I have ever in my life ever thought I would ever
It's a,
tell people or
it's
say.
it's a wonderful thing to be able
Well,
to let
it
loose
makes
of it.
me,
To let loose of it.
it makes me feel not freer,
Yeah.
but it makes me feel more or less relieved.
Yeah.
And sometimes I sit here at night and turned the television on, and my great-granddaughter gave me a couple new stations, because the regular stations don't have too much, but I have MAVE, and I have a RFD, which is a rural, has all my country,
I know the
has
one.
all my racing on,
Right.
and then I start thinking about things. Geez, I should tell Mark this, or I should tell Donnie this, you know, and
Call me.
Yeah, right then.
Whenever you're thinking of that, call me.
Right then.
yeah.
He's ready.
Oh, he's ready.
He's ready.
He's way ahead of me. But the things that we have done together now, you won't believe. I'm going to say.
I mean, I'm telling you, it's
'Cause I got
important. It's important.
I have the honor flight, October
Man, look
He
at
goes out 10:30 when the guys come home from the flight, and helps welcome them home.
this last time was a lot of Vietnam and Korean, and they come up to me and say, "You're up in World War II." You know, they
Right.
appreciate that.
Sure.
But anyway, this started in Patriot Guard Riders on October 19, 2013. All that, all this, all that. All this and all that, and all this so all this and all this.
You need to write a little smaller. You can get more on it
My
if you
little
write
girl,
smaller.
my little girl, my wife, she said the same thing. Half time. Oh, I gotta tell you that. Captain Watson, nice guy, but he was our censor officer, and he was the one that was supposed to, when you wrote a letter, he had to sit, what a job he
I
had.
see.
With a razor blade, and cut out everything that you couldn't, he censored every letter. So fortunately one day, I get a letter from him, says, Kenny, don't write those letters like what you're trying to tell me, because I don't get it. She says, it's like a music sheet. She says, I got a player piano music sheet in front of me, all these holes in it, and that's what it looks like. And she says, I don't know what you're saying it to him, because so much stuff was cut out. So she says, just write regular.
Yeah.
So from then on, I had to write regular, because you tried to cut, that poor man, can you imagine everybody in that
I know,
troop,
I know.
that quarters troop, that would, he had to go and censor. So then we got V-mail. V-mail was easy for us, but terrible for Forcy. All you got was that little bit of email, which was the envelope and everything, you know.
Right, I remember that.
Oh, she says, I don't like the email. I said, it was the quickest thing and best I can send to you. And sometimes I didn't have time to write, but it was one of those things that you did the best you could.
Sure.
Let's put it that
Sure.
way. You know, and
Yeah, I remember all the. I've
can
seen
you
some
imagine-
letters from my dad,
Can-
and
oh,
you
oh,
couldn't-
that's right too.
yeah, you couldn't tell. He couldn't tell you where he was. He couldn't tell you anything about it, but there might be little hints in there, little
You know,
subtle hints.
She kept them till I got home, of course, and then we decided, not in Ellsworth, but once we got here, we decided to get rid of them. I didn't want the kids to see everything, and, you know, so we got rid of all that
That's
stuff.
too bad.
But I did get,
That's too bad. I've got a bunch of my dad's.
is that right?
Oh, yeah.
I do have all my sisters that I wrote to my sister. He knows my sister,
Yeah.
or her daughter.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, my sister passed away, and 2 days later, my mom did, heartbreaking. So, Jack, my son, has the estate sale. And all these letters are ones that I sent. So, Carolyn says, take that home to Uncle Kenny, your dad. She didn't want them more. Even the book, his yearbook from school, she didn't want that either. I don't understand people. You know, and Humphrey, where we had the last sale there, he's a D-Day man, died. I went to school with his daughter, or with his wife, and she moved next door to us, built a house. And they didn't even want the Purple Heart. So finally, Elaine, the daughter, did come back and get the Purple Heart. She wanted Jack to sell it. That's not right.
Right.
No, it's
So
not.
Jack says, I don't think so. He said, you should keep that. So she finally come back and said, Jack, give me the Purple Heart back. You don't do those things.
No.
But so many people don't want to keep any, how should I say, you know, of these.
Reminders or, yeah,
A recollection of the hard
Yeah.
time.
And this here, now, hardly anybody got this.
Yeah.
I did because of Col MacDonald.
Right.
And the same way the commendation.
Yep.
Mine's starting to fade. Or maybe it was like that when I put it.
Is it?
Did it fade when it was smaller? Someday when you got the small,
Oh, the small copy?
Yeah.
I'll print you a new one.
print me a new one.
I'll
please.
print it on better paper. Now,
Maybe.
where did you and Colonel MacDonald?
When he came with me,
Yeah. When did you team up with him?
in November 29th of 44. And that would be, oh boy. Let me get this.
That was before the Battle of the Bulge, right?
That was after a battle of Bulge.
Oh, so you were.
No. Battle of Bulge. No, during the Battle of Bulge.
Okay, so you were in the Jeep during then.
Yeah,
during
where's
that.
Mortain?
Mortain's way back here in France.
That's in August. That's when I went with Colonel
Here's
Dunn.
Mortain.
Yeah.
Okay, Colonel Dunn sent me there. Sherbrooke should be up. Yeah, here.
Yep, there's
That's
Sherbrooke.
there. That's in August.
Right.
And we got the Bronze Star there. And then that was, then in November, here, October, here. Right here, anywhere where that is, that's where I,
Advance to Roar.
in the middle of that is where I grew,
The Roar River Valley.
or he did.
It's got to
And he
be
caught up with
the
us.
Roar in Belgium.
And then Jumaine should be on there someplace.
Let's see. Here's your
Aachen, that was our
Yeah,
first,
there's Aachen.
that's our first city that we took, or any United States Army, we took that.
Right.
And the First Army, Fourth Cavalry, First Army, 7th Corps. Then we lost it, and we had to get it
Right.
back in. That's when I seen MacDonald.
Right.
And then Cologne, we back there a lot of times. Hartz Mountains, that's we're over here. This is where we ended the war, in the Hartz Mountains. 60 miles.
So then, were you in the Roar pocket as
Yep.
well? You were in the Roar pocket too.
And then,
And then you keep
well,
on
you see
going
the
over
Hurricane
here.
Forest.
And there's Hearts.
The Hartz Mountains,
Hartz
Hartz Mountains is where the birdseed, birdseed,
Yeah,
that's
sure,
where that's
sure.
from, and that's also Hollywood of United States. That's Hollywood there where they make the movies.
Yeah.
That's where we met the Russians, and like I told you before.
Long,
we sure-
many hundreds of years ago, that's where my German ancestors came from. It's the Hartz Mountains. They were miners in that mineral area
Huh?
in the 1600s.
He did say something. He didn't talk much.
Well, he didn't know. He probably didn't know.
He probably didn't.
He probably didn't know.
No. And I never really
Because-
had brothers.
Yeah.
To tell you the truth.
Yeah, I
never-
mean, later on, they worked their way, and they were in the northern part of Germany, near the Netherlands, near Denmark. No, the Netherlands.
Oh,
in,
okay.
And that's from there they came to the United States.
That was.
So that's on my mother's side.
Yeah.
So I'm half German.
He probably didn't know any of that.
Yeah, he probably didn't know any of that.
He was.
He knew all this. He knew the Scottish side because of the very deep connections. But I think most of that got lost with him in terms of the kids and the grandkids and on down.
Around January or February, I knew he never come out and asked me, but he kept looking over on my 40 Tommy gun. And he had nothing but his 45. I had only 45 because I had turned 38
Right.
back into Colonel Dunn. And he kept looking over that Tommy gun. And I thought, sure, one of these days he's going to tell me to put the scabbard over there so he could have it. But he never did.
Never did.
No, never did.
Never did.
I never seen him with fatigues on. He never wore fatigues. And always dressed.
Riding boots.
And most of the time, how he ever got changed. Now see, Colonel Dunn, when he was with me with the armored car, we put our duffel bags right up on top of it, right by the turret on
Yep.
each side.
Yep.
And he had a duffel bag just like myself.
Right.
But with Colonel MacDonald, I had no room for my duffel bag or his. And he must have had a trunk too. That there was another Jeep, and I never got to see him or talk to him, that took care of his clothes and his
His
stuff.
stuff.
And those boots and everything must have been polished with him, because every once in a while, he said,
That Jeep is for my boots.
yeah. And every once in a while he would come in and he said, we'll go to this Corps. When I said Corps, that meant 7th Corps.
Yeah.
Go to Corps. That meant headquarters. And he'd come out with boots and breeches. Because now how he got dressed in the field and everything like that, I don't know. But
I don't know.
I don't know. Now Patton, he was a provost marshal for Patton's army, 3rd Army.
Yeah.
Then he came to be commander for us. Patton was a show-off.
Yeah. Right.
Nobody liked Patton,
Right.
including
Right.
Bradley and Eisenhower and everything.
Right.
Nobody liked him.
Well, he's a
And I
tough guy.
don't think from a little bit that he would talk about another officer, I don't think he liked him either. But anyway, he had 2 guns, pearl handle guns.
Right.
And and he could twirl just like a Western, and he was smart alike, and
Yeah.
then he got turned down by when he shot that soldier
Yeah.
Eisenhower really got out of him.
I remember
Bradley
that.
got him. Bradley was over him. He thought he was going to be over Bradley, and Bradley was over him.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of things. But I think
Ike was always had to be the diplomat and try to figure
Yeah.
out how to get these guys to work together.
yeah. And if
He was a master at that.
I'll tell you the movie that
A
was
master.
one of the best movies out was Patton.
Yeah, it was excellent.
George Scott was the
Excellent.
He acted like just like
Just
a little
like
bit
it.
that I ever seen
Yeah.
because we were never with the Third Army.
Yep.
Once in a while we bucked heads, but that's about it.
John's guys liked him. Fred's guys loved him.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
No, Fred, the other colonel.
He was more or less like that.
Fred was this blood and guts party guy who liked to drink and chase women.
Yeah.
And enlisted guys just, identified
Now
with
you
him.
know, I had never seen Colonel MacDonald drink.
Yeah.
I never seen him loaded. Never seen him have a drink, except with me with a Russian.
His brothers were different.
His
brothers were
With the
different.
Russians, he was more or less like me. Give me a wink and
Right.
he'd throw his arm a brush too.
I mean, I got the impression that John was the good kid. He was
Yeah.
the first one. He was the one who was expected to be responsible. And he lived up to that.
Yeah.
But he was still a pretty good guy. He was a pretty good guy. But his brothers, as they came along, they didn't have that
Yeah.
onus to be the good,
Yes.
the good kid. And
See, when Colonel MacDonald came to our outfit, he had a lot to live up to. He had to live up to Tully. He had to live up to Colonel Dunn because he was next in charge.
Yeah.
And MacDonald did. Let me put it this way: Colonel Tully turned a lot more over to Colonel Dunn to do than MacDonald, and I think it's because he came in halfway that he more or less took more things over himself
Right.
instead of allotting it to somebody else.
Yeah.
That's the way I looked at
Yeah.
it. But he always treated me fair and square.
Yeah.
Sometimes we went back to Air Force too. We were in Air Force headquarters a couple times. He always made sure I had a place to lay down and something to eat.
Yeah.
Number one was eat. And he says, I'll call him as soon as I'm ready. Have him ready.
Yeah.
And always did. You know?
It sounds
He
like
always
he was a pretty
never had
good
a-
leader.
Hard, he
really
never
does.
had a hard word with me. The whole 7 months I was with him.
Yep.
That's pretty amazing.
It
When you
is.
consider the circumstances.
And yeah.
Sure.
And also, I got to tell you one more thing about him. When he went to school for navigation, he must have been right on top of it. Because I cannot read a map and drive a car and blackout at night with that little bit of light
Yeah.
and see what's going on. And if we're on the right trail or road or whatever, because there's no blacktop,
Right.
you know. And half of them were just trails. And that man in blacktop, we never got lost.
Well, that's
Never got lost.
another part that was in his DNA from Scotland, because in being the kind of fighters that they were, they knew the typography, they knew the advantage of where you could fight and where
Yeah.
you couldn't. They knew just to look at the terrain
Yeah.
where the roads were going to be.
Yeah.
That was just innate,
Yeah.
and it just came on down.
Now you said he was of 9, was in
Yes, 9 kids.
counting your.
He was the first one.
And he,
No, he was
he
not the first one.
No.
He had a sister before him.
Okay.
So he was number 2 child, but the first boy. Yeah.
He always seemed to me, and I never knew that until you just told
Yeah.
me how much the family. But he always seemed to me that he was more or less how to take care of himself growing up, and he was always.
He had to in a family that's
Yeah, and he never asked you to
especially
do
with-
anything that he wouldn't do himself.
Again, his dad died when
Right.
he was
Yeah.
13,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So he was the father of the family. You know, he was the kid who had to try to help put things together.
And I did a few things that was not authorized. In other words, the Canadian jack or vest, whatever you want to call it. Also, my pistol, my 45, when I took that back, I took the stock off of it and made 2. We didn't have, what would be, plexiglass or something?
Lucite?
Lucite, that's what,
yeah.
because we didn't have. I made 2 lucite handles that you could see through, and I pictured my wife on this side and pictured my little Kenny that was just born on the other side. He thought that was the greatest thing in the world to have a handle like that. But then when I had to turn it back, I turned that off, Christopher's, I don't know what happened to the handles, but Christopher's got my 2 pictures.
Yeah.
Someday he's going to get them so you can see them. And anyway, he said, I can't do that. You know, and the same with the vest. You know, sometimes I wish I was enlisted so I could wear the vest, you know. And he was a down-to-earth person. And especially when he took those 2 women, he may have a picture. Do you have a picture of the 2 women cleaning up in back of my 39 Opal? There's 2 women
Oh,
cleaning up the garage.
up the driveway?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't have it on my phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, he went out and thanked those women for their car. Of course, they got paid for by the United States government. Sent in the house. Sure. That house wasn't his. That was for me. That house was for me and Johnny and Tom. Little Tommy got killed by that time.
He grew
I don't know
up
where he was.
He grew up taking care of the people
Now you see
around him.
that picture up there? That's
Yep.
not a picture. That's a whatever, needlegraph, whatever.
Yep.
Across the way in Singleton is where we lived in England, and he had a great big. He didn't. That was Tully. I'm ahead of myself.
Yep.
We lived with Tully. Headquarters was this great big, like a mansion, castle, whatever. And that house was right across the way. When I was in guard duty, that woman and her daughter would come out at 5 o'clock in the morning with tea and crumpets. You know, and just like that with that soup. So unfortunately, she that she had to get it for me.
That's
and,
great.
You know, and then I'll tell you.
That's great.
Yeah. We lived in Quonset huts. You know what Quonset huts is? We lived in the Quonset huts, and we had a Bobby. Bobby's over there at that time. I don't know what about today, but they never carried guns. Just a great big
Sticks.
stick and a big hat and a bicycle with little tires like this onto it. And with both feet had a clamp on both lamps. And the deer and the pheasants are all owned by the queen, and the deer are little bit of things. And we had potbelly stove at each end. I was lucky. I was up this end, so I was right near potbelly stove. Picked that top bunk because everybody sat on the bottom bunk, so it was never made up. Top bunk was always made up, so that's sharp. And so anyway, one guy gets a pheasant, and he's peeling the feathers off the pheasant and
The
everything
Queen's
else.
pheasant?
And every night, every night the Bobby would stop to see if we were okay, park his bike, he'd come in, he seen the feathers. They would work like mad, they'd pick up everything. He seen them there. He says, you guys been fed all right? We knew what he was talking about, but he never said a word. Got his bike and pedaled off again. Then the beer came in. Oh, Jesus. Big pot-belly stove in the back of the truck with coal and wood in it that ran the motor, the gas motor somehow. And every week, Friday night, the beer would come in and everybody rushed to the pub. We only had one pub in Singleton. And that beer truck would come up and they all run it and it was empty. By the time Saturday morning came around, it was empty again.
Where was Singleton?
Singleton was 14 miles from Chichester, which is the biggest town.
Might be on here.
And then that won't be on here.
Yeah,
That's in England.
Yep.
I don't
I
think
know.
it got
Yeah,
it.
there's England right
Okay,
here.
then look up in England. Maybe they have got
I don't.
Chichester or Singleton.
Could be.
It could be.
Let's see.
I can't remember.
You'll have one of these lines to it.
Where we came from Brighton Beach. Brighton Beach was the closest beach that was to us, and that's where we trained every day. We kept waterproofing and going out further in the water.
I think Brighton Beach is like down by Southampton somewhere.
Near Southampton.
I think there might be a blown up.
They may have something small down the bottom going up.
No.
No. That's all right. Yeah, I'm just curious. Yeah.
There was quite a.
Now don't forget, you're going to show me your vest.
Thank you. Thank you for telling me that.